My girlfriend said, "Don't you dare message him," when I wanted to confront her ex about their ongoing contact. I said, "You're right, that's not my place." Then I sent him something that made her cry for days. I, 29M, thought I knew everything about boundaries until I discovered what my girlfriend was really hiding from me. It started 3 weeks ago when her phone buzzed during our movie night. She grabbed it faster than I'd ever seen anyone move, clutching it against her chest like it contained state secrets. The look she gave me when I glanced over wasn't guilt exactly. It was panic. I didn't think much of it initially. We'd been together for 8 months, and she'd always been protective of her phone. Privacy matters, right? But then it kept happening. Every notification made her jump. Every bathroom break meant taking her phone with her. Every text required immediate attention, even during our conversations. The breaking point came last Tuesday. We were making dinner together when her phone started buzzing repeatedly on the counter. She was elbow deep in washing vegetables, so I instinctively reached for it to hand it to her. The screen lit up, and I saw the name that would change everything: Jake. Not just Jake, but Jake with a red heart emoji. 5 unread messages, all from him. She snatched the phone from my hands before I could read anything, water dripping everywhere. Her face went white, then red, then white again. I asked her who Jake was, keeping my voice casual, but she just mumbled something about an old friend and changed the subject. That night, I couldn't sleep. Jake with the heart emoji. An old friend who texted at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. An old friend who made her panic when I saw his name. I wasn't naturally suspicious, but I wasn't stupid either. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Thursday morning, she was in the shower when her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Just once, but I was already awake, staring at the ceiling. I didn't touch it. I didn't even move. But when she came out, she checked it immediately, still wrapped in her towel. Her expression softened as she read whatever was there, and she smiled. A private, intimate smile I recognized because she used to give it to me. Friday evening, we went to dinner with my sister and her husband. Halfway through appetizers, she excused herself to the bathroom. She was gone for 15 minutes. When she returned, she seemed distracted, checking her phone under the table every few minutes. My sister asked if everything was okay, and she laughed it off, claiming work stress. But I knew better now. Saturday morning, I finally asked directly. We were having coffee on her balcony, and I told her I'd been feeling distant from her lately. I asked if there was anything she wanted to talk about, anyone from her past causing complications in our relationship. She got defensive immediately. She asked why I would think that, what had given me that impression. When I mentioned seeing Jake's name on her phone, her entire demeanor changed. She told me Jake was her ex-boyfriend from college, but they were just friends now. She insisted there was nothing inappropriate happening, that I was being paranoid and controlling. I wanted to believe her. Part of me desperately wanted to accept her explanation and move on. But something in her voice, the way she couldn't quite meet my eyes, told me there was more to the story. The real revelation came Sunday night. She fell asleep early, exhausted from her weekend yoga class. I was watching TV when her phone, charging on the coffee table, lit up with another message from Jake. This time, I could see part of it in the preview. Can't stop thinking about last. The message cut off there, but those 5 words were enough to turn my stomach inside out. I didn't sleep that night. Every scenario ran through my mind, each one worse than the last. By morning, I made a decision. I needed answers, and if she wouldn't give them to me, maybe he would. Monday evening, I brought it up again. I told her I was uncomfortable with her relationship with Jake and that I wanted to message him directly, not to accuse him of anything, just to introduce myself and maybe understand what kind of friendship they had. Her reaction was explosive. She told me absolutely not, that I had no right to contact her ex-boyfriend, that it would be crossing a major boundary. She accused me of not trusting her and trying to control her friendships. When I pressed further, explaining that transparency would actually make me feel better about the situation, she became even more agitated. Finally, she looked me straight in the eye and said the words that sealed her fate. She told me not to dare message him, that it wasn't my place to interfere in their friendship. I looked at her sitting there, righteous indignation radiating from every pore, and something clicked into place. I nodded calmly and told her she was absolutely right. It wasn't my place to interfere in their relationship. She relaxed visibly, probably thinking she'd won the argument. That night, after she went to bed, I sat in my home office and composed the most important message of my relationship. But it wasn't for Jake. I opened my laptop and created a new email account. Then I spent 2 hours crafting a message to Jake's girlfriend. Yes, Jake had a girlfriend. It hadn't been hard to find her once I knew his full name from my girlfriend's social media. They'd been together for over a year, and from her posts, they seemed serious. Very serious. In my message, I introduced myself as the boyfriend of his ex and explained that I'd noticed they'd been in frequent contact recently. I mentioned that while I wasn't accusing anyone of anything inappropriate, I thought she deserved to know about the ongoing communication, especially the late-night messages. I suggested she might want to have a conversation with him about boundaries in their relationship. I included screenshots of the message timestamps from when I'd seen her phone, careful not to reveal any content, just the frequency and timing. Messages at 11 p.m., 6 a.m., during our dinner dates. A pattern that any girlfriend would find concerning. I sent the message Tuesday morning and tried to put it out of my mind. Wednesday evening changed everything. My girlfriend came over for our usual Wednesday night routine, but she was different. Quiet, distracted, almost nervous. She kept checking her phone, but instead of the secretive satisfaction I'd grown accustomed to, she looked increasingly anxious. Around 9 p.m., her phone rang. She looked at it like it was a snake, then declined the call. It rang again immediately. This time she answered, walking into my bedroom and closing the door. I could hear muffled voices through the door, but not the words. What I could hear was the tone, urgent, angry, desperate. The conversation lasted 20 minutes. When she came back out, her eyes were red and she looked shaken. She told me she had to go home, that something had come up with work. But as she gathered her things, her phone buzzed with a text. She read it and her face crumpled. That's when she started crying. Not just tears, but the kind of sobbing that comes from losing something important. I asked what was wrong, trying to sound concerned rather than curious, and she broke down completely. I thought about it for a moment, then told her the truth. I'd contacted Jake's girlfriend because she deserved to know what was happening in her relationship. Everything that happened after that was just consequences. Natural consequences of choices she'd made, boundaries she'd crossed, and trust she'd broken. She left that night, and I haven't heard from her since. 2 weeks later, I ran into a mutual friend who mentioned that she'd been telling people I'd sabotaged her friendship and been controlling and jealous throughout our relationship. Apparently, she'd left out the part about emotionally cheating for months and lying about it. I didn't correct the narrative. People who knew me well enough to matter already knew the truth, and those who didn't weren't worth the effort. But I did learn something valuable from the whole experience. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't confronting someone directly. Sometimes it's simply making sure the right people have the right information and letting the truth work itself out. Jake's girlfriend deserved to know about the emotional affair. She made her own choice about what to do with that information, and Jake made his choice about how to respond. My girlfriend made her choice about how to prioritize her relationships, and I made mine about what I was willing to accept. Everyone got exactly what they deserved. The funny thing is, she was right when she told me not to message him directly. It wasn't my place to interfere in their friendship. It was his girlfriend's place to do that. I just made sure she had the opportunity.